Hello, and welcome to the second live session of Skillathon 2022. I hope all of you are doing good and your automation learning is also going very well. Let's get back to our Academy page from where you guys are currently completing the Citizen Foundation Learning Plan. And as said earlier in the previous live session, today, you are supposed to go ahead and complete the remaining modules over here, and we will go ahead with the live session as we have discussed earlier. In the last session, we walked you across to this very special automation bootcamp with StudioX module that we have especially made for the Skeleton event. It is a wakelet link, as we have said earlier. So it has few bots that you have to build in. So all the use cases are being mentioned very clearly over here. And we have a video tutorial explaining it, how to build it. And if needed, you can also go to the Studio X, as in the the solution file for it, and download the solution file, and then you can work upon it. So in the same way, we have 5 videos available, which directly links to the 5 use case that we have discussed, starting with the Zodiac sign finder. And then we have the UiPath careers page as an example. Then we also have the participation certificate as one of the third use cases. Then next we have the movie reading example. And then finally, we have the RPA challenge example over here. So I'll repeat again, all of them have the use case defined very well over here in this section. And then we have the video tutorials presented for it. And then we have the solution tutorials presented for it. So you can watch it over here in this Wakelet link. If not, then you can directly click on watch on YouTube and it will redirect you to youtube.com. And from there, you can go ahead and, start looking at this video tutorials. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's look at some of the examples that we can go ahead and build today. So today it's a very exciting session. Today we'll learn some more stuff about how to play with data scraping, because data scraping is a very important part when it comes to automation, right? Because we deal with a lot amount of data, and for that we need to go ahead and we need to scrape few data from XYZ resources, and then we need to go ahead and work on them. So for that, people, we are going to use amazon.com as our use case. So on the amazon.com page, we will search for automation books. So you'll open amazon.com, and then over here, we will search for automation books. There you go. And then we'll click on the enter, or we'll click on the search icon from here. So as you can see here, there is a lot of automation books that got generated from the Amazon search box. Now, what we need to do is we need to scrape these automation books from the Amazon page, and then we will save it. What we will do is we'll save it into an Excel file, because that makes sense to us, because we are scraping a lot of data, and all those data that we are scraping, we will make sure we will save it into an Excel file over here. Clear? It's clear to everyone? So let's get started. Let's open the UiPath Studio X. There you go. And let's click on create a new process. So create a blank task, give your process a name. So here we'll say Amazon scraping. There you go. And in the description, we will write saying that what are we scraping? So we'll say we are scraping automation books. Done. Let's go ahead, click on create. Click on. 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 Let's wait for the dependencies and the workflows to get ready. Once the workspace gets completed, we'll start building our automation. There you go. It's almost ready. It's creating the workspace, adding dependencies, and we are good to go now. There you go. So it's ready. We'll start using it from here. So now you can quickly realize that we are switching on to the web automations now. If you want to use web automation, you have to use the use application slash browser. In the last class, we saw that we were using Notepad application, so we used this use application slash browser. If you're using browser, again you have to use the same activity, which is use application slash browser, because it works for either a window application or a browser, so it can work on both of them. So we'll drag and drop the use application slash browser because we want to start the Amazon page first, and then we will start scraping data from there. So let's go to the Amazon page over here, and let's click on the home page so that we get the home page URL correctly. So the home page URL would be amazon.com. And now what we will do is we'll go to the UiPath Studio X, and then we'll indicate the element over here. So we'll go ahead, we'll indicate the element over here. There you go. Awesome. So as you can see, it is smart that he makes sure that he knows that he's working on a browser. In my case, it was a Chrome browser. So he has also identified the browser correctly. That's a Chrome browser. And he's going to open up amazon.com, which is absolutely correct in this case. Next, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and then we need to type into the search bar, right? We need to type here in the search bar, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll perform the type into activity, because a type into activity enables us to type into a particular text field. So we'll drag and drop the type into activity. And here, look, is smart. He's saying indicate in the Chrome, that is the Amazon page, because he knows now whatever you will do it on the Amazon page itself, because you're inside this browser container activity only. So you'll click on indicate in Chrome. Is this the area? No, this is the area. Yes, that's correct. So we are going to type on this particular area or this particular text box. We'll wait for the confirmation of target, and then we'll go ahead and click on confirm. Done. So what are we going to search for? That's the important question, right? So we're going to search for automation books. So we'll click on the plus icon and we'll provide a text here. And in the text, we will mention it as automation books. Perfect. Done. Now, so what we will do is we'll try to run this automation that we have built so far. Now, remember, whenever you're using use application slash browser activity, by default, as I said earlier, this property close means it will automatically close it by itself. We don't want that to happen as of now. So we'll say never close it, because we're still in the development phase. So probably we can say never close it now. If required, later on we'll change it. So say, okay, close once the application is completed. So let's go ahead, let's run this. And before that, let me show you another property over here called as resize window. Resize window basically makes sure that you can frame or size the window the way you want it. In our case, I'll say I want to maximize the window, which means my amazon.com page should always open up in a maximized window. Clear? So this is what has to be done. But ideally, if you see people, this is not the only thing that is needed. We also need to click on the search box, right, in order to move forward. So we'll drag and drop the click activity, and then we'll make sure that we'll indicate on the search box, because that will make sure that whatever we are typing, those elements will be searched for in the Amazon page. Done. So we are comfortable with this. Let's go ahead and let's run this automation over here. Let's click on the run button. We are assuming a new Chrome page to open up, or ideally if it is opened up, it takes the same page. See, there you go. So this is what I wanted to show you. If the page is already opened up, it's gonna take the same page only. But in this case, there is no more Amazon page opened up in front of us. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this again, and this time he's gonna open the page for us, and then he will type it. See, there you go. And perfect, right? So he made sure that he will open the page and then he will type the elements for us. So let's confirm. Where is the Amazon page? There you go. So this is the new tab that got opened up, and then he is able to go ahead and search for the automation books over here. Okay, so we are good to go. We have built the very first part of it, that is, till the part where a data scraping has to get started. So I would request all of you to please go ahead and complete till this part, so that later on we can go ahead and see how do we scrape data. I'll give you 5 minutes, people, not more than 5 minutes. So please go ahead, take your 5 minutes, complete this so that we can move forward. And also make sure that you run this bot so that the bot is on the automation books page, because we need to scrape data from there. So please go ahead, take your 5 minutes, complete this, and then we'll proceed forward. 2 minutes more, people. Please complete it fast. Okay, so let's move, people, and let us look at the data scraping part. Now, if you look at the Amazon page, we have the data in a structured manner, right? As you can see, data are presented, in the form of rows and columns here. Of course, there is only one column here, but it is represented in a very structured manner here. And if in case you want to, extract any such structured data that you have, in that case, you can make use of the data scraping technique. And the data scraping technique is also called as table extraction. As you can see here in the designer panel over here, we have an icon which clearly says table extraction. So this will help you to go ahead and extract a data which is in the form of a tabular or a structural data that we have. So let's go ahead. Let's click on the table extraction directly. The moment you click on table extraction, UiPath Studio will minimize and you will be represented with a new set of window. And this window will help you to go ahead and extract data. Now, in order to extract data, it says here, click or, which says add a new column. So the moment you click on add a new column, it gives you the flexibility to, choose the element that you are interested in. So what are we interested in as of now? We are interested in how the book title. So we'll go ahead and we'll indicate the one of the book title here. So this is the book title that I am interested in. So I'll click on this book title. What do you want to extract? The text or the URL? Since it's a link, so there is also a URL behind it. I'm not interested in the URL behind it as of now. I'm only interested in the text. So I'll say text. Done. So now as you scroll down, as you can see that, he's so smart that he's able to, extract, the other information also. See, do you see this? All these fields are automatically marked here. So he's able to identify these elements and he's able to, choose those elements from there. So for me, I'll say it's perfect. I'll click on confirm now. So I'll click on this confirm button. Done. So by default, you can see the name is given as, a new column 0. If you want, you can change it to your wish. Of course, I'm going to change it to book title. Done. That's it. And if you want to, go ahead and add a new column, say for example, I want to even extract data that is the total number of rating that it has. Then you can go ahead, click on add a new column again, and then you can indicate the element. So this is the total number of rating, right? So I'll say it has total number of rating, that is 411. I'll extract the text and that's it. See, he's able to extract all the information accordingly. Perfect, right? Working exactly as we wanted. We'll click on confirm. And over here, I'll change it to total number of rating or total ratings. There you go. Done. If you want to preview, you can preview it. You can click on the preview button. As you can see here, we have book title, we have total rating. So this is the book title and this is the total rating. As you can see, there is no rating here, ideally, which means the data itself would not have any rating in this. So we can verify it from here. What is the book name? The robot book writing method, this one. Let's verify if it has rating or not. Yeah. So where is the book? There you go. So this was the book, the robot book writing method. And as you can clearly see here, there is no rating given in this book, which is fine because if there is no rating, then it actually does not make sense to extract a data because the data itself is not present here. So if there is no data present here, this tool is very smart. He will, skip that data and then he will move ahead with that. Now, the next thing over here, if you again need to, scrape more data, again click on add columns, and then you can scrape the desired data that we want. For this particular exercises, the name and the total rating is enough for us. So we'll only scrape those data. Now, the next thing is, this is asking you a very important question, which is extract data from multiple pages. Do we have multiple pages here? And when I look here, of course, we have multiple pages. And I also want to extract data from the next page also, right? The next some of the pages also. If this is your condition, then you will say yes. You will slide this toggle bar. You'll say yes. And then he's asking me to indicate the next button. He's not asking me to indicate the number of pages. He's directly asking me to indicate the next button. So here is the next button so that he can automatically move to the next page and scrape data. So I'll indicate this next button here. Done. So we're done with this. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can say save and close. So we can go ahead and we can say save and close. So this will open up the UiPath Studio for us. And in the UiPath Studio, we can go ahead and we can see that the scraping activity that we have got. So there you go. So here is the extract data table that we have scraped. Now, you're scraping data and the data is a structured data, which is in the form of rows and columns, right? So ideally we have scraped two columns. We have scraped book title and we have also scraped the, sorry, the total number of ratings. Now, what we need to do is we need to save this value, right? Because of course we have extracted a value. we will save this value in a variable, and then we will use this variable to save it into an Excel file. So for that, over here, we'll click on the plus icon, and then we'll say create a variable because we haven't created a variable yet. So we'll go ahead and click on create variable. By default, some name would be given to you. If you are happy with that, you can go ahead with this name. I'm not happy with this name. I'll, erase the data. And then over here, I'll say that this is automation books extracted, or extracted automation books, because this makes sense. Done. So make sure you add an underscore between each of them. So it's extracted automation book, and then I'll click on OK. So what will happen is the rows and columns that you're scraping, it will get stored into a variable, and the variable name is extracted automation books. Clear? Done? So please go ahead, complete the table extraction part, because this is the very important part. You should understand how table scraping works. We saw that window that came in. So it's also important that in that window, you need to click on new column and then add the column. If you have a next button, indicate the next button correctly so that it moves on to the next page by himself. Clear? So I'll give you 5 minutes again, people, not more than that. Please go ahead and complete this data scraping example fast. Okay, let's move forward and let us look at the part where we can save it into an Excel file, because our ultimate aim is we need to save this into an Excel file. So for that, as I said earlier, we have to make sure that we first use the resource activity, and under resource, we are going to use the use Excel file activity. So we'll drag and drop the use Excel file activity over here. Now there are two ways in which you can do it, people. The very first way is that the Excel file is already created and you have to just save it into the Excel file. And the second way would be the Excel file is not created. You want the Excel file to be created and then it gets added, the data gets added into the same Excel file. So if in case you have the Excel file with you, then you can go ahead, click on this folder icon and then indicate the Excel file that you have. If in case the Excel file is already not existing, then you can create the Excel file here itself. So you can simply give the name to the Excel file. So you click on the plus icon, click on text and give a name over here. So we'll say this is automation books. Let me just correct the automation spelling. So this is automation books dot XLSX. You have to make sure you give the extensions very well over here. So we'll save with the extension automation books dot XLXs. There you go. We'll save this. So this will make sure that it will create an Excel file with this name and it will save the data in this particular Excel file. Now let's move on to the Excel activities. So in this Excel activity, what you need to do is we need to go ahead and then we need to write the data. So we will use the write data table to Excel, because the data that we have over here, which is extracted automation book, that variable is nothing but a data table. Data table is basically data which can be stored in the form of rows and columns. So let's go ahead. Let's use the write data table to Excel activity and then automatically see it has taken the extracted automation book. If not, then what you can do is you can click on use variable. All the variables that you have over in your process, in your project will be listed here and then select the variables from here. Next thing is, where would you like to save it in the Excel file? Of course, we want to save it into a worksheet. So we'll click here on the plus icon. We'll choose Excel, and probably since the Excel file is not created, so indicating in the Excel file is not a solution. So we'll say custom input. We'll create a worksheet. We'll name this worksheet as automation or Amazon books, probably. And then we'll save it. So worksheet name will be created called as Amazon books. And in that worksheet name, the extracted automation books will be saved over there. Clear? So before we move forward, as in before we start scraping the data, let me show you some of the properties that are available in the extract data table. So in the extract data table, what you can do is you can give the number of inputs that you want to scrape. For example, here you have the limit extraction too. So by default, you can say there is the limit set as no limit, which means it will scrape all the records, in our case, all the automation books from the Amazon page. But that would be too lengthy. We don't want to do it because that would take a lot of time for us. So what we can do is we can stop the data at whatever need that we have. So we can say, depending upon max row, as in how many records you want, or you can say max pages, as in how many pages it should move forward. So depending upon whatever is your need, you can do that. So for example, if I say max row, then I need to edit the number of items from here. So I'll go ahead, I'll click on number and say, for example, instead of 1000, I'll say I want to only scrape 60 data. Then only 60 rows of data will be scraped, as in 60 book titles along with ratings will be scraped. For example, if I say max pages, and then I have to mention the number of pages here, if I say 3 pages over here, for example, not 33, 3 pages, then what will happen is the 3 pages of data, as in how many records are available in those 3 pages, that many records of data will be scraped and it will be saved into my Excel file. So depending upon your use case, people, you have to make sure that you give this property or you define this property very well. Clear? So probably in our case, we'll go with max rows, we'll set it to 60. And the Amazon page, if it is already opened up, we'll make sure we close it because we want our automation to start it from the beginning. And now let's go ahead and let's click on the run button. And now before I click on the run button, there is an option here, probably which I forgot to say, mention it earlier. There is a property here which is exclude headers. You can see it also mentioned over here. If I check this, what will happen is it will make sure that the column name that we gave, right, book title, total rating, those will not be added. If you want to add that, then probably we'll uncheck this, right? So we want to make sure that we add that name also, so we can do that. And let's go ahead, let's click on the run button. So our Amazon page should, boot up now. And once that is done, then it will start the, searching for books and then scraping the data from there. So there you go. Amazon page got opened up. It's going to search for automation books. There you go. Perfect. And now ideally he should start scraping the data. See, he's navigating to the next page because he has to scrape, the data from the next page itself. And how is this possible? Sorry, because we said him that, you know, we located him where is the next button. So depending upon the next button, he's going ahead and then he's navigating the data that he has. All you have to do is you have to make sure that, you put the correct data as and when needed, because depending upon the data that you have provided, for example, what to scrape. If you want to scrape more data, what are those more data that you want to scrape? So each one of these, data has to be mentioned very clearly that you have. Clear? Now the automation has completed. Now we can go ahead and, open the Excel file and see whether our data has been, added into the Excel file or not. So let me quickly go ahead and open up the automation folder, because my Excel file will be created in that particular folder itself. So let me go ahead to my project directory and let me open my page from there. Sorry. So let me pull it over here. So there you go. So this is the, let me pull this here. There you go. So this is the data that we have. And as we said that we want only 60 records of data. Of course, we have 61. Reason is because, we have the column name as the, first title given, or the first data added over here. So if we exclude the title, then we have 60 datas that we wanted. So this is how data scraping works, people. And in that case, whatever you want to scrape, make sure it's, in the form of, a structured data. You put data scraping mechanism or the table extraction mechanism on top of it, and it will, scrape the data as and when needed. Say for example, tomorrow, you would wish to go ahead and, change some data. Ideally that should not be the case, but then again you can go ahead, change the data, you'll say no limit, and then in that case what will happen is all the data from that particular website or that particular page will be scraped and it will be added to the Excel file. And in the Excel file, that activity that will help you to write is called as the write data table to Excel. Clear? So that is all about data scraping, people. Now I'll give you another 5 minutes to complete the Excel part, run the automation, and then see whether the data has been added successfully to the Excel file. So please go ahead, build your automation, and start running the automation and see the Excel file. Okay, so let's move forward, people. I hope the data scraping example is clear to all of you. And let's look at another browser automation. It's a very simple automation compared to the table extraction example that we have looked upon. So the website says, you can find your unicorn name, which means, you just enter your, your details such as your name and your month in which you were born, and then it automatically gives you your unicorn name over there. So basically what we'll do is, we'll get this data, we'll fill this data, and whatever the unicorn name that gets displayed, we will display it to the user in the message box. Right? The way we displayed hello world, will display the unicorn name to the user in the message box. So what you need to do is, you need to go ahead and enter your name. So in my case, my name is Niaz. I'll enter that. The month in which you were born, I'm in October. So I'll select October, and then I'll click on get unicorn name. So my unicorn name is Confetti Weather Wind, sorry, Confetti Feather Wind. And what I want to do is this particular data I want to display to the user in the message box. So the data keeps on changing because everybody has a different name, and the month also would be different, and then it will generate a unicorn name and then will display the same to the user. Clear? So the URL for this website is rpasamples.com slash find unicorn name, right? So it's a pretty simple rpasample.com slash find unicorn name. So let's go ahead and let's build the UiPath Studio X solution file for it. So let's open up UiPath Studio. Let's click on home and let's create a new project. And it's a blank task that we're gonna create. Let's give it a name. So this, what are we doing is we are building a unicorn name. Let's give a description to it. So we over here, what are we doing is we are finding the unicorn name, and then we'll go ahead and click on create. So as you can see that it's a browser activity. Now, of course, you guys are very smart. You can, clearly identify which activity that we're going to use. So probably we'll go and have to go ahead and use the open browser, or the application browser activity as the very first activity, because we want to make sure that we go ahead and we use the browser first, and then we will move ahead with that. So let's use the use application slash browser. Let's indicate the application. So this is the browser, this is the web page. I'm happy with it. I'll perform a click here. And as you can see, it's a Chrome browser, and it is the rpasamples.com slash find unicorn name. So this is absolutely correct. There is no issue with that. Next is what we need to do in this page is we need to go ahead and we need to enter our name. So ideally, it's a type into activity, people, correct? So we'll open the Studio X, and then we will use the type into activity. So drag and drop the type into activity, and then indicate, is this the correct field? No, this is the correct field. So we'll indicate this field over here, and then we'll go ahead and click on confirm. So let's click on the plus icon over here, and then let's choose a text and then write your name. So in my case, I'm going to write my name over here. Done. Now, let's go back to this page again. Now, the next thing that we have to do over here is we have to select the month from here. So ideally, if you see, this is a select box, or in a layman language, we might also call it as a drop down menu. So from this drop down menu, we need to select the correct month in which you were born. So if you're working with a select menu, or if you're working with a drop down box, we have activities corresponding to it, and the activity name is called as sorry, and the activity name is called as select item. So make sure you choose only the activity which says select item. So we'll drag and drop select item over here. Done. And then I'll indicate this field over here. Now, as you can see, it's so smart that Let me just first click on confirm. And you can see he's so smart that he gives you a drop down here itself, which has all the data that is present in the web page. You see this? It has all the months that he has scraped from the actual data that is present in the web page. So in my case, I'm going to choose October. Done. Clear? So let's go ahead. Let's fill this data because we need that button to appear in front of us. Now we need to go ahead and click on the get unicorn name. So it's very simple. It's a click activity that we need to perform. So we'll drag and drop the click activity. There you go. And we'll perform the click on this button, which is get unicorn name. Awesome. Perfect. We'll click on confirm. Done. Once we do that, what exactly happens is the unicorn name gets generated. And now we need to save this data. Before saving this data, it's very important that we need to extract this data. We need to scrape this data. Now, ideally, of course, we have just seen a data scraping example now, but this data scraping is not what we are expecting, right? This data scraping is not what we are expecting because this is not a data which is in the form of rows and columns. And this is not even a tabular data, correct? And this is just a piece of information that we want to scrape. For that, we have activity supporting it. The activity name is called as get text. So we'll use get text to extract a specific text from the UI element that you're interested in. So we'll drag and drop the get text activity and we'll indicate it. So this is what I am interested in. So I'm indicate this area. Of course, I'm not interested, in the rest other things. So I'll indicate on this particular area. And then I'll go ahead, I'll click on confirm. As usual, if you're scraping anything, you have to save it. So we'll save it into a variable. So we'll click on the plus icon and we'll create a variable. Let's give this variable a name. I'm not interested with this name that is coming here. I'll give it name that I prefer. I'll put it as unicorn name over here and then click on OK. So whatever data gets extracted from here, it will get saved in this unicorn name variable. Then I can use the message box activity, correct? And then I'll say display the variable in the message box activity. So let me search for a message box activity, drag and drop the message box activity, and then select. So I'll say use a variable. What is the variable name? We have only one variable, that is unicorn name. So I'll select unicorn name here. So instead of typing the text, we are directly using the variable, and that variable, whatever value it is holding, it will display that as the answer to it. Clear? Make sense to everyone? So we have used the use browser activity, then we have a type into activity, then we have a select item activity, then we have get unicorn name activity, then of course the click activity for get unicorn name, and then of course we have the get text activity which helps you to extract the piece of information, and then finally we have the message box activity to display the data. I'll give you 5 minutes, people, because this is a small example. Please take 5 minutes and complete this, and then probably I'll run it, or we can run it together, and then we can see the output in front of us. So please complete this exercise within 5 minutes, and then we'll run it. Okay, I hope you have built the bots. Let's go ahead and let's run this automation. So before we do that, let's close this page. And now let's run it from the studio. Make sure you save this, and now you can run the automation. So it should open the unicorn page. There you go. See, one thing which we have missed over here is we were not, we did not mention him to, go ahead and use the maximize window, right? So make sure that you don't do this mistake in the browser activity itself. Over here in the resize window, we'll say maximize it because we want to open it in a maximize window. Now we can go ahead, click on run, so that problem will not exist in front of us again. So let him compile because we have made changes, into our program. Though it's a property setting, but the program got changed. There you go. Mhm. And there you go. So we got the message box, and the message box is also mentioning the same thing, which is confetti weather fin. I'll click on OK, and the browser will close by default because in the close section, we have never said that, do not close it. So automatically it will close the browser. For example, if you change the data, for example, if I change it to, my birthday month to May, and now if I click on run, so I will get a new unicorn name and it will display that data to me in the message box. So it's confetti snowflake dream, and there you go, it's confetti snowflake dream. So that's it. So that's how easy it is, people, to build your automation. And please make sure that you practice this example well. Go to the entire UiPath Academy learning skills that we have added for you, and make sure you complete all of them in order to get your diploma certificate. And this will make sure that you add an automation skills to your portfolio, to your resume. And it's very important to gain more skills as you grow, and automation is the future. So you can see a lot of openings in the job market as an RPA developers and so on. So start with the very foundation, and if you wish to study more, then you can always go to academy and learn more from there. Clear? So we wish you all the best, and that was the last session. That is the second live session that we have planned. Complete the academy learning if you have not completed it as of now, as soon as possible, and you will get all the certificates issued from the academy itself. Clear? So that's it, all from our end, people. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Stay safe and happy learning and happy automation from ourselves.